Hey, Terry.
Hey there, guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you hanging. Had to grab something. I'm the only one home. How are you, Rebecca?
Very good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. You get any rain in London today?
Yeah, there's a few spots on the window.
Yeah, no, they were calling for a bad storm. So,
Yeah, well, we got a downpour yesterday after the parade.
oh, is that right? Yeah, good
Yeah,
stuff.
it waited until just when the concert finished, and then
Right on. Good stuff. Well, give everybody a couple minutes to log on. Elsa Wintercorn said yes, it rained in
hi, Elsa.
London.
Congrats on your event last week. It was awesome, Elsa and Kara.
Yes. So let me just see. You need, can you share screen from where you are, Rebecca?
Yeah, I should be able to. There's a share button.
Yeah, so you should be able to share a screen, right?
Let's test. Share. Host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Ah, so let me get that done for you. What I will do is I will make you co-host, and you should be able to do that. Try it again. There, you got it screen sharing now, right?
Got it?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Pause share. There we go.
Great. We're just going to give people a few more minutes to log on here. I know that been talking, we got a lot of people away. Vacation. I just got back myself, and people are away on vacay, and summertime, July is the biggest month ever for holidaying. And so
yeah, absolutely. That's why we record these though, right?
Absolutely. So anyways, well, let's get started because we are right now at 8:32, and I know you want the full half hour, a little bit more, whatever it takes to get through it, but I'm excited. I'm really excited that once again, our friend, our teammate, a leader, Rebecca Naylor, has stepped up to put together this tremendous training. I know she's worked very, very hard on it. And dealing with people with chronic illness is a special thing. So I'm just delighted to know that we have somebody of Rebecca's caliber that not only deals with chronic illness, has been coaching other people on how to deal with it for a long time, and has utilized VoxLife and this technology to improve the quality of life. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to welcome Rebecca Naylor to do our training tonight. So take it away, Rebecca. It's all yours.
Hello, everyone. Super fun to be on here again. I'm really excited about tonight's training. Those of you who've seen my previous trainings will probably know that I'm a very intuitive speaker, and I don't normally plan details other than just a general topic. This is like the first one, I think, that I actually sat down and made a PowerPoint for, just because it's such an important topic for me. And I know we just have this half hour, and I really wanted to make sure that I didn't forget any of the really important things I wanted to talk about. So you're actually going to get like an organized visual for this one. So I wanted to first go a little bit back to say thank you for your patience, because this was originally supposed to go on like a month ago. So you may have seen this topic being advertised and then it was canceled last minute. And I actually wanted to share why that was, because it's actually very pertinent to tonight's talk. So for those of you who don't know me, who might be new to Vox, welcome. So my name is Rebecca Naylor. I've been a user and sharer of Vox for more than 2 years now, and I've been living for 22 years now with multiple sclerosis. So although I've been symptomatically in remission for most of the last 20 years, meaning no actual relapses, I had what I thought was a routine MRI recently, and they decided, where they normally just do for people with MS, brain and upper cervical spine, they decided to do my entire spine of the MRI. And I happened to get the results the morning I was supposed to do the training. And I thought it was going to be like, yeah, touch your nose, go home, everything's fine. And instead they told me that the entire bottom half of my spine is a mass of lesions. And it was just like, oh, it was a shock, right? Because I'm turning 40 in a month, and I feel the strongest and healthiest I have done in my entire life. And it was really confusing and frustrating to me, because not only was what they were telling me different than what I was experiencing, they also couldn't give me any concrete information about whether or not those lesions were brand new in the last year, or if those have been there since the previous serious attacks I had 22 years ago, and they had just never noticed them before because I never looked for them in that area. And so on that day, I tell you this because on that day, I felt I did not have any emotional real estate available to invest in anything other than processing this news. And because this is such an important topic, I didn't want to do it when I felt a little bit off my game. But I wanted to take time to reflect on that experience and sort of bring it into what I want to talk about, because that confusion and frustration and feeling of overwhelm that I experienced even 22 years following my diagnosis is the same kind of thing. Thank you for your prayers and thoughts. It's the same kind of thing that people all over the world who are dealing with chronic illness are facing right now, whether they were just diagnosed, really recently, or whether this is something that's been an ongoing part of their journey. The emotional side of living with chronic illness is the part that I really want to focus on today. The physical part, it's a bit more obvious. It's a bit more intuitive how to deal with it. But when it comes to the emotions and the verbal communication, the result from the emotions, that's what I want to focus on. So I'm going to tell you my goal for tonight. By doing these trainings, I gain as much as you do as well, right? We teach what we need to know. These are awesome reminders for me as well. But my goal is to help you feel more confident going out there and helping people who you recognize are living with some kind of physical or emotional pain, and you may feel hesitant to approach them, or you may not feel that you have the language or the education to be sensitive to what they might be going through. Now, my experience is not the same as everybody's experience. So just a little bit of a disclaimer, the things I'm going to share with you today are not just based on my own experience, but from also working with hundreds, actually thousands of other people online and through one-on-one coaching, working in the wellness industry. So this is sort of an accumulation of what I've learned. Okay, enough pre-talk. So I'm going to jump into my PowerPoint. Terry?
Yes?
Because once I share screen, I'm not going to see the chat window. So could you just keep an eye on the chats if there are any questions?
Absolutely. Yep.
Good to answer at the end. We'll come back to them at the end. So please post your questions anytime. We'll come back to them at the end. Okay. So are you seeing my screen now here?
Yep, your screen's up. You're good to go. Working with people living with chronic illness. Great.
Great. How do I get rid of this thing? Go away. Get out of here. Okay. From the start. Ta-da! There we go. All right. So we're going to be looking at the three main areas of working with people with chronic illness, sort of having sensitivity to the situation, being very specific about the type of education that we're providing. And then, of course, also the goal is that you want to have a successful interaction with that person. And let me be very clear that a successful interaction doesn't necessarily mean a sale. Okay, this is not a conversation about sales. It's a conversation about building relationships, which we all know is the first step, right? All right, so let's dive in. Go, next slide. Ta-da! All right, so we're going to start by talking about something that I've commented on in my previous talks as well, and that is the importance of listening and how powerful listening is, not just for you as a business owner, because we are all business owners, but for helping the individual who's living with that chronic illness. So first of all, let's talk about who are these people with chronic illnesses. So the biggest chronic illness right now is the massive conglomerate that we call autoimmune disease, or they're all kind of lumped together, whether it's MS, lupus, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, arthritis, All of these things have an autoimmune base, which means the body's immune system turning on itself, attacking the body's self for some reason. It's the fastest growing thing. It is absolutely grown ridiculous and exponentially over the past 100 years. And traditional medicine really does not have the answers right now. So I'm really focusing on those people right now, okay? So let's talk about the experience these people have. They are going to traditional medical appointments and bringing symptoms of conditions that doctors don't have any answers for. And what that means is that, so kind of boil this down into a nutshell. Doctors are wonderful, awesome human beings who had the best of intentions to devote their life to healing. They then went to medical school, which was pharma funded, and they learned how to do two things: prescribe drugs for symptoms and surgery, cut things out. Okay, so those are the two approaches to modern Western medicine. Little to none of it involves anything to do with root cause, to do with prevention, to do with lifestyle changes, when we now know that those are the main things that are contributing to chronic illness. So doctors are completely overwhelmed. As much as they want to understand what to do, they don't have time because they have so many patients coming in with these symptoms. And, you know, most of you probably experienced this, you know, your max medical appointment is like 10 minutes tops. And it's like one topic per discussion. And it's like symptom, symptom, symptom. Okay, here's your drug. And that's kind of what our current system is. So it means the people who have chronic illness, who have lots of these different appointments with different specialists, they have this constant experience of being rushed, of feeling they have to, you know, take a huge emotional experience and summarize it in a 2-sentence description of something that can be medicated, right? They're often very, very emotionally and physically overwhelmed, whether it's a new diagnosis or it's been around forever and they still can't get relief. This feeling of being like at the top and not able to take on anything more is really, really common with people living with chronic illness. And what that means is that when you stop them in the street, at a show, in the gym, whatever, and say, hey, have you tried Vox? Like, often it's just like, ugh, not another thing, right? Because we all know that in the age of the internet and Dr. Google, it's like everyone has a suggestion, right? And some of them are awesome things that help, and some of them are total scams, right? And wastes of money. And so when a person is already overwhelmed and can't take any more physically or emotionally, and they have one more voice, probably from a stranger, saying, hey, here's one more random thing that seems like magic that I swear to God, what are you most likely to hear? No, right? And it comes right back to that, many of you heard the story of when, Terry, remember the day we met?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And I was that person. I'm like, I've been trying to fix my balance for 20 years. I'm so frustrated. You tell me to wear like a freaking sock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna, like, I was just so insulted, right? And so we need to not take that personally. We are just like the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. So if you hear no, what does that mean? Does that mean, oh, this person is emotionally overwhelmed, I should step back and not push, I want to be sensitive? Well, what I'm saying is actually no. I'm not saying be scared of the no. I'm very much not saying that. What I'm saying is there's another way in. And that way in towards serving and helping that person is to listen to them. Because often when a person says no, we come back with rebuttal. Oh, but this is different. Oh, but let me tell you this. Oh, but this is different because. And all of these things are people telling them, people telling them, people telling them. And what are people not doing? Listening, right? So people who have chronic illness desperately need to be heard, and they need to be validated. And if you're not familiar with that word, I fully, sincerely encourage you to go to like an online dictionary and fully understand the meaning of the word validation, right? to help someone feel that their own emotional experience is valid, is true, is real, is normal, is worthy, right? So if a person says, no, I'm not interested, I've tried it all, whatever, instead of saying, oh, but this is different, say, tell me about that. Tell me about your experiences. What are you feeling? What are some of the things that you've tried? How can I help? How could this be different for you? And often when people feel that they're being heard and they feel that they're being validated, they will often open up to you. Because we do, in our nature, we like to talk about ourselves, right? And when we've been trying to tell our story forever and everyone's been rushing us, people really want to tell their story, actually, because it feels good to get out there. And so when you listen, like just really listen to why the no is there, right? What the resistance is, you often find that people will open up and tell you details of their story because they're responding to your patience. Right? And in that storytelling, often they'll tell you clues about how you can actually help them, right? They mention particular pain points or particular struggles. And that doesn't mean as soon as you hear it, you have to jump on it and say, oh, great, right? The idea is to listen with the intent to understand. And how do you show that person that you're listening? You reflect it back. Oh, what I hear you're saying to me is this. Am I understanding this correctly, right? Check for the accuracy. And more than anything, allow them to finish. Because as Vox associates, we want more than anything to help. So as soon as we hear something that we can help, we often want to be like, oh, I can help you with that, right? But they're not done. They need to be heard. So even if point number 1 is something that you have a solution for, you need to listen to points 2 through 11, right? So that person trusts you. Okay, so listening, number 1, big one. All right, you still good, Terry? I can't see anybody who would have my screen share on, so can you still hear me?
Good. Yeah, we're all good. I was just muted.
We're good? Okay, yeah. All right, so the next one is learn skepticism. So even if people were not naturally skeptics before they developed a chronic illness, often they become skeptics because, especially in the internet age where there's so many different things you can try on your own, a lot of people have tried different things and they've experienced disappointments. I'm just thinking about my own personal story with MS. There's been everything from, bee sting therapy to this CCSBI vein opening thing and stem cell this. And, at least once every 6 months or so, I get a message from a well-meaning person on Facebook being like, oh my God, I just saw it in the news, they cured MS. And I'm like, that's great, sure, send me the link. Right? And it's something that's like 10 years old news or something that I know doesn't work, right? So when we have tried all of this stuff, we learn to be disappointed. We've had that experience of I've tried it all and nothing works. Quite often there are people out there who are taking advantage, right? Which is one of the reasons that we get resistance from people, is that people have been sort of duped in the past. So when you feel that somebody is a skeptic, take the time to ask questions and understand why. Again, it's not just taking the no at face value, but showing interest in the no. Right? Showing interest in the no and truly wanting to know where the no is, coming from. So ask them questions about it. And again, in order to trust the product that you're presenting to them, meaning Vox, they have to trust you first. Okay? There are a lot of people, I've really noticed this recently too, people who've sort of been watching what I'm doing online or seeing me at events or whatever for a long period of time and just decided to try it, have said the same thing to me. If anybody else had presented this to me, there's no way in hell I'd be trying. I'm trying this because you told me to try this, right? I'm trying this because I trust you, Rebecca Naylor, as a human being. And if you are a trustworthy person and you suggest this product, I'm going to try it. Whereas if somebody knocked on my door and they were a stranger and they suggested it, I would never give it a chance. So give them time to trust you. Once they trust you, they're going to be willing to try what you're sharing with them, right? So we validate the skepticism. We don't pretend that skepticism doesn't exist. We talk about how it's a normal, logical reaction to something that on the surface is brand new and not like anything else on earth. And so it seems like magic. So share your own skepticism story. Like, yeah, I know it's crazy, right? Like the first time I heard it, there's no way I believed it. So it's not just about sharing your testimonial. Share your story of your own skepticism. And again, it's validating them, right? Validating that it's normal to be skeptical, but it's okay to try anyway. And then what I use at the end, and again, only at the end is the last point, when I feel that I've done what I can to build a relationship, to build the trust, to validate them, my final point is just, hey, look, there's two options. Either you get better or you get your money back. So literally there's no risk. There's no fiscal risk. There's no financial risk. So when you put it that way, you know, people are often like, okay, all right, well, I trust you and there's nothing to lose, so why not? So why not? All right. Let's continue on. We're going to talk a little bit about this particular product and how it's so outside of anything that people may have experienced in the past. So it really is a whole new world. So as I talked about earlier, this experience of what we call, I put in quotes, healthcare, because it's really not healthcare, it's sickness care, right? It's identifying symptoms, treating symptoms, and ignoring root cause. But that's what our current healthcare system is. So those people out there, the people in the world who we see and we want to help, their experience may be completely limited to drugs and surgery, okay? Now, a lot of us who know and love Vox Life and the Vox products and this technology, we often come from a place of being more open-minded. Many of us we're sort of on an alternative medicine path already, sort of looking at other options. You know, we're explorers, right? A lot of us. But for many people, especially the older generation, you know, they grew up like the doctor on the pedestal, right? You follow the doctor's orders. Like what the doctor says is the ultimate veto, right? It trumps everything. And so if they never heard it from their doctor, it can be scary. Like, well, if I try this Vox, what if my doctor laughs at me? What if I lose their support? And that's what I know. And oddly enough, trust, even though it's not helping me. People worry about contraindications, especially people who are on so many different treatments and medications. It's like, oh, well, how is this going to interact with that, right? So they need to know that there's no contraindications. That means it's not going to mess up any medication they're already on, right? And they don't have to stop taking medication to be on this. So just remember, they know nothing. I always assume they know nothing. And then if they do know something, I'm like, cool, right? But that way I make sure I'm not talking over their heads. So start slow, don't overwhelm them too much. And again, whenever someone says, and I hear this all the time, if this is so good, why didn't my doctor tell me about this? Stick to facts and try and avoid getting personal. You may have heard some of the vocabulary I've been using in tonight's conversation. Doctors are wonderful human beings with the best of intentions who were educated in a system that was very limited, right? So we don't say doctors suck, they don't know anything, right? That's not gonna earn us any friends, right? We know that doctors are good people. They literally have a very narrow range of experience and expertise. And what we are discovering is outside of that. That's all. Okay. All right, moving on. We'll try anything. So that is a literal quote from a struggling couple in a parking lot a couple weeks ago. So the story was I was actually at my doctor's office waiting for an appointment, and it's a walk-in clinic during the day as well. So wow, so many people we could help in walk-in clinics, right? But there was this couple and this woman who was obviously defiant and not wanting to use the complimentary wheelchair, and tried to get across the long waiting room using just a cane, shuffling like a quarter of an inch per step. And I watched her and I was like, oh my God, should I tell her? Should I help her? Am I invading? You know, all the things that we all think. So remember this. People want to be helped. The very first thing these people said when I finally got up the courage to talk to them, when they were like in the parking lot, was, we'll try anything. we will try anything. People are desperate. They're desperate. They're in pain, right? They want to be helped, and you have something that can help them. So forget about whether or not you're selling something. You are sharing something, knowledge, awareness of something that they may not have, and you are serving them first. And think about this. What if nobody told you, right? What if I said to Terry on that day 2 years ago, oh, I have MS and I've struggled with my balance for 20 years, and he went, oh, that's out of my league. I'll just let her walk by, right? Think of all the people who I wouldn't have been able to help, and all the people that those people wouldn't have been able to help, right? Chain reaction. So when we help others, we help ourselves. We have to embrace that no as evidence of your commitment. Like, maybe they will say no. Maybe they'll tell you to F off, but that's okay. It's like, if I got a no, that is evidence of my commitment to sharing this mission. Okay? If I'm not getting any no's, that means I'm not sharing. Think about it. If you're not getting any no's, you're not sharing. And even if they don't bite, even if they don't take your card, even if they want to hear nothing about it, even if you just mention the name or let them know that, or point to your patch, you have planted a little seed, right? You're normalizing this idea. When they hear about it next, because they will hear about it next, they're gonna be like, oh, maybe that's that thing that person was talking about in the parking lot. And when they get enough points, right, enough times that they've been exposed to it, they'll consider it. Is that sale gonna come back to you? No, but who cares? Karma, right? It will in the end. That one connection that you have with that one person in the parking lot or in the store, that could become a referral, an awesome testimonial, an invitation to do a party. They could become one of your next team members, right? So you never have any idea how much one little connection can matter. And you really are helping those people. They don't give a damn about how scared you are. They don't care about your fear of rejection. All they care about is getting better. So if you have something that can help them, the opposite of fear is faith. I'm not talking about faith in a religious sense. I'm talking about faith in the literal sense of the word as an extreme, unshakable belief. And your faith is in your own sincerity, right? You know that you're serving first. And your faith is in the product. You know that what you have works and is going to help these people. All right. I really want to talk about privacy. This is something that has come up lately a lot for me personally, especially as I've been dealing with this new news about my lesions and things like that in the past month. But it's also come up in discussions with other people as well. And it has to do with the fact that we are not a regulated profession like doctors or teachers, where we have a code of ethics that is legally bound. So we kind of have to have our own code of ethics, okay? So these are my suggestions for a code of ethics for a box associate. If you want to share somebody's story, please, if you want to hear somebody's story, invite them to share their story rather than asking direct questions. You know, where's your pain? How do you experience this? Tell me what your worst symptom is. You know, this can feel very invasive and like you're being put on the stand or something. So rather than asking direct questions about a person, just invite them to share their story, right? I'd love to hear your story, as much or as little as you'd like to share with me. Anything you share with me can help me to help you, right? If a person starts, like, okay, I'm thinking at trade shows, craft shows, stuff like that. If a person starts to talk about something that is sensitive, please take them to a quiet place to talk and do the demo, right? This is not the point when you want to like call over everyone, come see this demo, right? When a person's talking to you about something really personal, like their chemo treatment or something. So when a person starts to open up, there's always a little place where you can go off to the side, lower your voice, have a more personal conversation. For me, if it starts to get quite personal, I will say, you know, I would really love to help you as best as I can. And I think that I don't have the time in this moment to explore this to the best of my ability. Can we arrange a home visit? I love home visits. I do them all the time. You can see the person's footwear. You can see how they move around. You can do a full demo in their own space. You can really take your time. My average home visit is 60 to 90 minutes. Okay? So find a place to be private. If someone tells you their story, please ask permission to share their story. I'm not gonna go into specific instances, okay? But we've all seen things online where things have been cut and pasted from one person's wall to another when it was set to private and then it's shared in public and all sorts of things. Or, you know, just because someone texts you something doesn't mean you can automatically take a screenshot and share it on Facebook, right? That was a private text. So always ask, you know, this is a wonderful story. It would really help others if I could share it. Would it be okay? Right? Always ask that permission. Confidentiality. As a teacher, as a healthcare provider, you know, those kind of professionals, counselors, again, they have a code of ethics. We just need to be our own code of ethics. Things are confidential. Things are confidential, okay? Black out people's names unless you have permission to disclose their names. And make sure you're talking in general terms, even when you're sharing with your other associates. Try not to give away too many personalizing pieces of information. Okay, now the last point I want to make is about support groups. So social media is an amazing way for us to share our stories. Social media, things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. They're great ways to meet new people, to network, to find people who need our support. There does need to be a very clear boundary, though, when it comes to a support group. Okay, a support group, a digital support group, is different than like a networking business group where you're there to meet people and develop your business. Okay, a support group is a very, very sensitive and private space, and they are there intended to be for the people who are afflicted with that condition only. So an example of this, I have multiple sclerosis. I belong to several MS support groups because I am a person with MS. I would never in a million years dream of going and joining a cancer support group or a fibromyalgia support group. I help those people, but it's not my place. I don't have cancer. I don't have fibromyalgia, and it's not my place. People who are in those groups, myself included, and what I hear from the other people in the groups as well, we trust that what we write is only being read by people who share our experiences directly. All right, it's very, very important. So think of it this way. The digital format of a support group has the exact same purpose as in-person meetings. It's only in the digital age when people are so busy, nobody has time to go to in-person support groups. The only in-person support groups I know that still go on are like AA meetings, Alcoholics Anonymous. Imagine if you had a product that could help alcoholics. Would you ever go and like show up to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting just to share your product? Never, right? That would be so invasive. But yet, we know that there are people out there who are joining support groups for demographics they don't belong to. So I want to first of all honor that your desire to help is completely well-intentioned. I know that any of you out there who might be thinking, oops, this is me, we know that you did not do this with any intention whatsoever to, you know, digitally eavesdrop. We know that your intention was simply to find people who we can help. However, your desire to help does not trump their right to privacy, okay? And this is something that I've heard for like many, many years. I've belonged to different kinds of support groups, and this is kind of like an ongoing thing. So for me especially, I've actually found myself hesitant to use my own support groups since finding out about all my lesions in the past month, because it doesn't feel like a sacred space. So I just want to put that out there and remind people that those places are there for those people to have a safe, sacred space. Okay. All right. So we're going to close up with talking about specific education. So we have to be very specific with people who have chronic illness. Not that it's not important for the professional athletes, but it's a little different with people with chronic illness. The demo is vital. So the demo is always vital, right? Doing that balanced demo. But people who are living with chronic illness can't get away with just wearing it a couple of hours a day. In order to really optimize that nervous system and reset damage that might have been decades in the making. We need them to be wearing it 24/7. And in order for them to commit to wearing it for that 30-day minimum period, they need to actually know and have faith that it works. And the only way they're going to know and have that faith from day one is when you do that demo right at the beginning. And that way people know, oh my God, I felt it. It made a change to my brain. I'm now committed to wearing this for 30 days, right? Sorry, my kitty cat's a little sick. I'm just making sure she's okay. You okay, Willow? It's okay. Okay, sorry. So we need to remember to be compliant. So we remember we're not diagnosing anything or treating anything or curing anything. Words that I use all the time are that we're improving your wellness and quality of life, and we're optimizing your nervous system, whatever your nervous system optimized looks like. Another thing I like to remind people is that chronic illness is not something that you develop overnight. By the time you have symptoms that are severe and obvious enough for a traditional medical doctor to give you a label, a diagnosis, that disease, meaning dis-ease of your body, is very, very firmly established. So as your body is sort of fighting against itself, there is a long, years-long, sometimes decades-long period where your body is in dis-ease, but you are asymptomatic, meaning without symptoms. And then when the pressure load becomes absolutely unbearable to hold within, the symptoms start to become external, okay? So if your body has already spent that long building disease, it's gonna take some time to build health, right? To build wellness again. So I really emphasize that it's important to be patient and to be consistent. Whenever somebody has a pain issue or a chronic illness, I'm very, very firm, 24/7, 24/7, as much as is possible, okay? Another thing I like to help people understand is that Vox HPT is a tool that allows us to do the work, all right? Some of you may have seen a video I did recently of at the gym a couple weeks ago. I work with a personal trainer and we do like hardcore strength training. And this one day I didn't have my patch on. And it was like, oh my God, everything was awful, right? And then I put the patch back on and everything was great again. So the patch itself, we know, doesn't heal us. But the patch gives us the strength and the balance and the energy and the flexibility and the relief from pain in order to have the freedom to go out and do the work that is going to heal us, right? It gives us the energy to cook the healthy food. It gives us the strength to do the workout. It gives us the flexibility to get around our homes and do the housework we need to do to stay hygienic and healthy, right? So it is a tool, but we still have to do the work. We don't just slap on the patch and sit there and do nothing. I always share the full range of results. I don't want people being unrealistically optimistic, but I also want them to know that anything is possible. So I will share stories of people who had instant amazing results, and I also share stories of people who had small but significant improvements after a period of time. And I let them know that anything within that range is possible, but whatever it's going to be a step in the right direction. I also let them know that for me, in my experience, 2 weeks is average until people start to really notice the difference. Some people it's immediate, some people it's not till like day 28, okay? But I make sure people know they have to be consistent and be patient. When they ask me, what should I expect? We don't make any promises, right? We don't tell them what to look out for. My way of encouraging them to really pay attention to their bodies is I ask them to look out for what is new, what is missing, or what is different. So what's new, meaning, oh my God, I couldn't look behind me and now I can, right? What's missing? Oh, I used to have this pain in my back and it's gone. What's different? My foot used to be numb and now I have sensation, right? I try and involve family and friends as much as possible to get them to observe. And it's another reason why doing home visits is so ideal, right? Because often the spouses or the parents and children will be around, and I ask them to bring them if possible. And often the person themselves will be like, I don't know if it's working. And then the other person will be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Your tremors have been like half as much as they used to be. Or you don't even hold the handrail anymore. And they're like, really? So get other people to observe as well. I don't have it in the notes here, but I also tell people, you know, wear it for like 25, 26, 27, 28 days, whatever. But before you make that final decision at the end of the 30-day trial, take it off for a day or two. Let your body go back to what it was before, and then you'll feel the difference, right? And most important of all, this is my last point, follow up, follow up, follow up. We hear it all the time, but people with chronic illness especially get so much information bombarded at them from the medical community, from well-intentioned friends and family, from Dr. Google, from everywhere. It's all new to them. There's so much they're learning at once. They're not going to remember it all, right? So check in frequently, get some feedback, find out if they have any questions. And again, keep up the listening, make sure they know that you're there to listen and understand them, and that you truly care about the results after you get them set up with their box. So yeah, that's kind of what I had to share.
Rebecca, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. You know, it's incredible, the cross section of people that we all come across, and we don't always do things right. And so the training you said tonight is amazing, because I think a lot of people have joined different support groups with the best of intentions. Yeah, and wanting to help people and so on. And let me just hang on one sec, Rebecca. I'm just going to go here for 1 second. And I'm going to go stop share. There we go. And then one of the amazing takeaways, I mean, everybody's just been raving. There's so many comments in here, Rebecca. People thanking you for, you know, your vulnerability tonight, being open with people, and really caring about the field, and caring about, you know, everybody's best intentions to help, but doing it in the right and compliant and honoring way for our tech. And what I took away tonight, which was amazing for me, is that, you know, we all get hesitant sometimes to go and share it.
Yeah.
And the comment that stuck with me is what if no one showed you?
Yeah.
Right? And that's powerful. That's very, very powerful. And so it's not, you know, about how many yeses we get. It's about how many no's. And, you know, there's a book written called Go for the No. And, you know that you're doing your job if you're getting no's, but they're not always going to be no's. They're just no for now. Not no forever. They're no for now. And so that was very, very powerful for me. Wished 450 were on here, not just 45. People got recorded. We got the recording, and I'll have it up in a half an hour. Rebecca, I'll leave it up to you if you want to load the PowerPoint as a file into the team page. It'll be under the files section. You know, everybody is just ecstatic. Send the YouTube link of the recording to whomever you think will benefit. Edna, yes,
yeah,
great.
Please do. Because the more people we help to help more people, right? That's that domino effect that someone was talking about. It's all about paying it forward.
Yeah, it's a great tool. This, you know, if the YouTube video can be found on my personal YouTube page. If you guys all have your YouTube page, you can upload those videos and place them on your own YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe to mine, subscribe to Rebecca's, whatever. There's some great stuff there.
I accidentally deleted it last week.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Right.
I'm gonna re-upload them at some point.
Damn buttons. Anyways, but thank you so much again, Rebecca. It's such a pleasure to have you. You're such a great trainer, such a great teacher, and such a great advocate for our technology. And we're all blessed to have you. And we look forward to hearing another training from you again. So without keeping anybody any longer, I thank you all for being on, and I will have the recording up and placed on the team page within a half hour. So I bid everybody good night. I'm just going to unmute everybody so we can all say good night. You are all unmuted. Say good night now.
Good night.
All back. Way to go.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great.
Off the charts, Rebecca.
Thanks for your time, guys. Good night.
Good night. Bye them all.
Good night.
Good night, team. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.
You too.
Yeah.